We are late. Whose fault is that, do you think? Whose fault, T-Rex? Yeah, it was my fault. It's 64 degrees now, 9:54 a.m., October 2nd. What is it, Wednesday? Lose track of the days. We had the opportunity to make a time lapse of the tall ship Lynx coming in from Rockland this morning into Wessagusset here on the Fore River. Welcome, Lynx. We heard the carronade shot at 8:18 a.m., but I underestimated the velocity with which you were going to be entering our neighborhood today, so I missed it. Do have it on a time lapse, though, from our camera. Unfortunately, the camera does not have audio, so all we can see is the smoke from the carronade cannon-like shot this morning. Welcome. We'll be seeing you down on the dock. And also in that time lapse, you can see that the differential advection of clouds coming in from the east at low levels and coming in from the west at high levels. It's a complex, fairly quiet weather pattern, if you can have both of those at the same time. An extraordinary storm way up in Hudson Bay, Canada, playing a major role in just about everything in the eastern United States right now. We talked about this last week when it was out over the Pacific Ocean. We're going to try and track this front and see if it can pick up the remnant of Helene and bring it up into New England next Wednesday. We said last Wednesday for today. Well, that storm didn't quite deepen to 962, but it did deepen to 968. And it stalled in Hudson Bay, Canada yesterday. And its front this morning extends all the way from its occlusion up to the Arctic Circle down to a cold front in Louisiana and Texas. So it's hard to get these fronts to go east of, say, the longitude of where the storm stalls. So the front stalls because the storm stalls. And that's why we have the separation of the front, which is now just inching its way through New York. Even a little 10-12 wave, looking like it's a stationary front there, just north of New York. And the remnant of Helene, which is now totally disembodied from what it was, and is off the east coast, and is that cloud south of New England, generating 30 to 35 knot winds on its north side out over the ocean, not because it's a really deep storm, but because it's kind of a powerful high that's also stalled over eastern Canada. So we talk about the Greenland block and its influence around here. And once again this morning, the air is coming in from the northeast on our surface temperature dew point map from this morning, about 9 o'clock. I got this one. So this is about the 10th out of the last 13 days with a wind from the east or the northeast, or even more than that. Well, this front is forecast to limp through New England as a decaying front. The radar this morning showed the light showers with that coming across southeastern Canada into New York. And those raindrops are pretty much evaporating, and you can't even see the northern edge of the precipitation because it's so far offshore with Helene this morning. The Atlantic Ocean is lit up, the Pacific Ocean is lit up, and we're kind of in between here in New England with a fairly quiet pattern continuing. How do we want to show it? How about the good news? The Boston 5-day forecast, these clouds are forecast to thin out, and the temperature holding in the 60s with the wind still in from the east today. But then that front kind of does limp through here. A few showers possible north, unlikely. And here in southern New England, the sun comes back. Dew point's not going down very much. There's not much push with this front, but it is enough to cause the air to come in from the south and southwest. So by Friday and Saturday, temperatures going back up into the lower 70s, cooling down to 60 each night with a chance of some fog. And nothing much to talk about right here in the Boston area. But we are surrounded by storms out over the Atlantic Ocean. There's a sailboat. The high rises of Boston. Good morning, Quincy. Start with a surface analysis of the Atlantic Ocean. And the strongest storm now is a wave that went east of us a few days ago, and that's east of Newfoundland. That's the strongest storm right now. And then in the northeast Atlantic, there's a strengthening storm. And the one south of New England, developing gale, that is the remnant of Helene. And then also there's Hurricane Kirk. Now, Hurricane Kirk, Category 1, is going to be ramping up. National Hurricane Center says, not worried so much about the Caribbean anymore. It looks like the next storm after Kirk is going to be that red X on its heels. That's going to be Hurricane Leslie. And we're going to be tracking those across the Atlantic Ocean. Well, looks like we get some flag issues. I went to look up to see if I could see that plane, and I see I need a new brass fitting right there. The brass fitting broke on the bottom of the flag right there. Yeah, all right, we'll fix that. No problem. So once again, I think I'm going to have to show the oceanic view because the fronts that have been coming to New England after about 18 months of overachieving fronts arriving in New England with torrential rains and those blizzards back in March and April, something happened late in August, and all of a sudden we are on a streak of underachieving fronts. And every one that looks like it's going to be something turns into less than we thought it could be as we get closer. The 5 to 10 day forecast turns out to be over-exuberant, shall we say. And it's happening again with that storm we were talking about next week. So let's go to the play-by-play on the Pivotal Weather ECMWF. This is the Euro, and I'm going to try and go slow because the Atlantic Ocean is so busy and we may be impacted by a system or two, but it's looking more quiet today. Hurricane Kirk deepening, and let's stop it now at 2 a.m. Saturday. I think that's the right time. And Kirk is down to 925 millibars. Wow, that's 27.3 inches on your barometer. Now, to put it in perspective, that's not a record. The record in October of 2005 was Wilma at 888 millibars, so it's not a record. And then up there west of Ireland is a massive storm. Look at the size of that. That's a central pressure of 965 millibars. Wow. And we have ramping up Hurricane Leslie south of Kirk. It's going to almost follow the same path. And there's a front coming into New England that's going to be weakening. And also in the Gulf of Mexico, maybe a tropical cyclone trying to spin up very slowly. That would be Milton if it develops. All right, now let's go forward again, and we're going to stop it right here. What time is that? This, I believe, is now Monday. And why I stopped it here, that storm in the northeast Atlantic is still there. Kirk is weakening. It's becoming a post-tropical storm. And just to the west of Kirk, you see another low now down to 975. That is the remnant of Helene regenerating on the west side of Kirk. And then there's Milton below that. And then in southeastern Canada, we have 988 low and a front coming through New England. And this is about the time we thought maybe a nor'easter would be forming. But it looks like that low in Canada is going to kind of hold the energy to itself. And also in the Gulf of Mexico, there's a little system we're still trying to watch. But they're completely separate now, that system in southeastern Canada and the energy in the Gulf of Mexico. And it looks like a front is going to come through here Monday. And then if we go slowly forward, there is a storm forming there over New England, but it's east of New England at this point. So now we'll stop it again on Tuesday, because this is the day I've been talking about how it looked like we would have a nor'easter possible near Long Island, and we would have a wind from the northeast all the way from Norway to New England. Well, because that low is farther to the north, our air is from the west here in New England, and there's a front east of us, so now that easterly wind comes from Norway to about Nova Scotia. So it's going to be generating surf and swell, and our wind may be offshore. So this could be a wonderful surf opportunity for us if this holds true. Also, Leslie would be going there, following Kirk's tracks, and maybe Tropical Cyclone Milton going across Florida. But that's a much lower threat now. And now if we keep going forward, the cool air is digging, and we have upper level low pressure, and the 540 blue line and 534 blue lines are coming in, and there may be some snowflakes if this is accurate the second half of next week. And on the east side of that high pressure system, maybe the first frost advisories for central and southern New England. Remember, we had northern New England, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago with the first frost in northern Vermont. And so that's looking very autumnal there, with the storms at that point strongest over the Atlantic Ocean, but that one here in the Northeast may be backing up and trying to enhance our flow from the north and perhaps backing into us. So this is just one day in a row of us showing not a nor'easter the middle of next week. We'll see how that consistency plays out. Once again, this is like the soap opera of weather forecasts. We call the play-by-play not only on the weather, but the weather forecasts. And also our neighbors sailing, doing a nice shot for us right here. Beautiful. What a fun morning for sailing. And he's noticed fewer boats in the water around here. There's a pontoon going pretty good. I want one of those. Pea and Leif, thanks for the heads up on Captain Sean and Captain Peacock returning to visit us here at Wessagusset. Hopefully we'll all see each other on the deck over there, maybe Friday evening. That's what I'm thinking. All right, what have we done? Want to see a spider? Oh yeah, want to see my nephew Greg's spider? Something about the spiders in October. Yeah, that's Greg Pisa posing with his spider. And then how about TK with his spider? What is that? Where's the spider? What's that? Spider didn't pass away, did he? Anyone know what that is? I think that's breakfast, and I think the spider's deep down in that cave in there. Who wants to go in there and check it out? Feeling brave? All right, sorry I'm late today and long-winded as usual. Lynx coming in. Made a bunch of time lapse yesterday. It actually did rain for a few minutes. Got a time lapse of the rain shower and the convective clouds that came through yesterday, and then went down to the shipyard, retracing steps that maybe some of our grandparents took when this cement was brand new and around 70 years ago, and watching the people come and go from Boston. Some people going to the, I think, preseason Bruins game, and a lot of people returning home from work with the backlight. It was really interesting. And I thought I was done there, but then I came home and our sunset was dramatic. So we have lengthy time lapse and TK pontificating on observations from yesterday, the first day of October. And not sure why this flag is flying as it is right now. More on that later. T-Rex wants to go up. Mailman must have just been here. Loves the mailman because the mailman gives him treats. Hot T-Rex. And where's Steve? All right, let's let everyone go now. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
What time is it? Talking about the door? You don't even know why. Just because midday, easterly wind, 12:30. Looks like precipitation starting to come out of the clouds just based on the lowering visibility. So I think drizzle is imminent. And I noticed this workboat going by, and on the back of the workboat, it's one of those
Bluefin Robotics submersibles, unmanned submersible
vehicles that you can search for sunken ships and planes and such. Being tested in the waters right off of Massachusetts here. Where's Steve?
There he is.
Hi, Steve. Just past 2 p.m., sure enough, the rain has commenced here. One of the only rain showers in all of New England happens to be coming right across Hingham into Weymouth right now, so about a little time lapse. And this really is more from the backdoor cold front that went by last night, promoting this easterly wind with a little bit of a boundary here. Nothing really to do with Helene. So we'll see how it looks here over the next half hour. Low level moisture coming in off the ocean, high level clouds coming in from the west. Almost 4 o'clock. Very little rain fell. Those clouds are whipping though. They look pretty fun, huh?
I think I just felt the raindrop. T-Rex, you feel that? Certainly an ominous October looking sky here at the DCR headquarters at the Hingham Shipyard. Launch, ferries going back and forth. New moon today. Well, it's Monday, so the new moon is actually tomorrow, but you're watching this on Tuesday, so it's a new moon today. And with that new moon, you have high tide at midday and midnight, and low tide at sunrise and sunset. And here we are at the Bethlehem Steel Shipyard, looking back in time at where they used to launch the Navy ships that were built here for the United States and the United Kingdom back in 1940, 41, 42, 43, 44. So these pilings are literally 80 years old. Looking at the sky and loving the sky and appreciating the past, the present, and the future is what we do here every day. Boats are all pointed toward the east. We've had only a little bit of rain, and I was hoping for the sun to come out from beneath the cloud right now because I love the color in autumn when the sun gets below the cloud at sunrise and sunset. It really illuminates the landscape, and the foliage looks a lot better. And a bunch of people running for the ferry. And somebody just went by with a Bruins shirt on. Are the Bruins hosting a preseason game at the Garden tonight? I have a feeling they are. You gotta look at the signs around you. You can tell what's going on. All right, the signs are, we're gonna have to turn the heat on pretty soon inside the house with this kind of chilly east wind. But I think the wind's turning around from the west in the next couple days. A lot of little fronts around, and the big weather's missing us for the time being. All these launch chutes here. Shells on shells in shells. I think one of these is alive. This one. Very wrinkled snail. It's alive. Go bees! Water breaks. Can't plan this stuff. I did not plan this. It just happened.
Loading now for about 10 minutes. Packed. Really interesting video. Where I'm standing. Back in time. This rebar was laid around 1939 or 40, somewhere in there. Still kind of hanging on. Danger, danger. I'm glad that they allow me to walk at my own peril in here. Is that fun watching? No. I thought I was done there over at the shipyard, but it looks like the sun might try and come out from underneath the cloud. So this is a provisional possible time lapse of the sun going beneath the crow's beak as it goes down here just before 6:30. And more and more. Thanks for watching. Here's the entire day now. Until tomorrow.